from here to the front. Okay? Reuse the legs, so on stage it'll look just like it was. Alright, we're back in a minute. We'll continue the rest of the series where how I take this amp and mount it inside, and also how I'm going to use this to make the legs for on stage. Okay, what I'm going to do is actually make the first cut on how I'm going to separate the legs. I've noticed that my cuts aren't exactly the straightest, so I'm actually using this as a guide. And going through, and I'm using wing nuts. I know you can't see it from here, but there are wing nuts on the other side so that I can break this down very quickly after the gig is over. Close as you can and cut through this, okay? And it's basically a wooden dowel that's glued into this piece. It was just bolted right through. I ended up drilling, and as you can see, they go. This is what came out. I'm actually going to just stain it now the same color. This technology worked out beautifully. I ended up wiring the high voltage to pins 1 and 2, and then 3 and ground ended up being the audio. Okay, so this is the speaker cabinet with the front grille in place, and you can also see this is the completed version. The speaker is in there. The first one that you're looking at is the one that I currently have replaced the filter capacitors, and I'll point those out to you. The one's in blue and then one that's marked black. Just had to rewire these. In fact, I wasn't even able to find this combination. But what I did find is, if you look down here, this particular capacitor I found is a 50 microfarad 50 volt. I did get a direct value replacement. These are Sprague's, and the other one is actually on this side, right there. I did spend some time cleaning using rubbing alcohol and toothbrush, and just went through and cleaned up all the grease and grime that was sitting on top of this guy right here, which is, if you look at on the side, is a fuse. Right, back then they didn't have, I guess, the worry in their amp. I finally have a decision where the amp is going to actually be mounted. Okay. Basically what you see here is I have a male that plugs in, and then the other side just simply plugs into a power strip, and you're good to go. The mounting of the amplifier in the cab is I actually had to relocate, once it comes into focus, the vibrato line box. This was originally up here. You can see wiring the colors just because I didn't have the colors. But the 2 red wires represent the high voltage, or the plate voltage, that is actually feeding the field coil speaker. Now the black and green represent the audio signal going to the speaker. Now I had to figure out a way to get this out. So what I did is I drilled a hole for connectors and just run that right to your audio cable and then to your speaker cabinet. So it's you can see here's the original cut that we made, and what I've gone ahead and done is I basically purchased from a local hardware store some pieces of wood that have a little bit of an edge to them, something with a little bit of style on it. They fit like this. So if you can look from this point of view, that as the Hammond sits on top of the legs, that it has side-to-side support. I mean, it ends up being really, really convenient, because here's the volume control, and there was already a factory hole underneath It allowed me to run a cable through. And see, here's the volume control pedal. Fully, and just bring this cable right through the hole. Comes right through. And the end, by the way, is a solderless crimp. I've actually capped, I put plastic caps over the oil covers, and I'm also, for tonight's gig, I'm going to actually cover this generator reserve with with toilet paper. You'll also notice the shock mount. These are basically rubber stoppers. I drilled a 1/4-inch hole through it, and then just took this bolt and passed it through the levels. And what I'm going to do at this point is just make sure everything's good to go. Yeah, this one has a thing about it being very percussive.